are driven by the finer things. I see more than materials and wealth. What have you got to give to me? What I don't already give myself. You are driven by the...
Hello, welcome to another episode of Illuminated Disclaimer. Hello my fellow disclaimers. My name is Sydney and hopefully you've watched a couple of episodes before this, and if you have, I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're liking, I hope you're commenting, and I hope that you're subscribing as well. I hope you had a wonderful day as well. We're coming into the midst of spring, so to me it's the true new year. So I hope everybody's finding solace in what they are doing and trying to, overcome the challenges and the self-doubts and limited beliefs that they may have. Now, this is what Illuminated Disclaimer is basically about. I want you all to delve deep, truly find out what you want to improve in yourself and embrace the negative side within you, because we need a level of duality in order to progress and to, reach our targets, goals and dreams. So today I wanted to talk about assertiveness. Assertiveness is something that a lot of us don't necessarily do. I just had a training session and I had 13 people in this training session, and we were talking about, things that we do to eliminate the doubt that we have in our lives and the things that give us doubt subconsciously. And we were just talking, having a discussion in the group, and I basically said that sometimes I tend to say sorry quite a lot. Turns out I wasn't the only person who says sorry. Basically, more or less, the rest of the group nodded in agreement, just basically saying that I say sorry a lot and I do passive things, like I go with the flow, and there's nothing wrong with going with the flow, but is it up to you? And I asked the participants this question, and they said, yeah, usually someone is more aggressive and they accept that, so they come into a way where they usually just say yes even though they want to say no. And what that indicates to me is that people don't have a certain level of assertiveness. People are going with what other people say because they probably went through things like this in the past. So what I want to do now is basically talk about what assertiveness is. Now, I'm going to give you a scenario so you have more mental picture of what I'm about to say. So for example, let's just say you are chilling with a family member, let's just say a partner. You're with your partner and it comes to 7:30. Now, you really want Indian food, but your partner wants Chinese food. So you're about to have the discussion, and before it gets any deeper, you say to your partner, I want Chinese food. Your partner's like, I don't really want that. Sorry, you want Indian food. You say to your partner, you want Indian food. Your partner says, no, I want Chinese food, but you insist. You say to your partner, no, I really want Indian food. Let's go for Indian food today. I really want Indian food. To the point where your partner is forced to agree with you. Not really on their terms, but they feel like to avoid any kind of confrontation or argument, the best course of action is just to agree with you. So that is that's aggressive viewpoint. Now, a lot of people do have an aggressive viewpoint, but a lot of people also don't know that they are being aggressive until they're called onto it. So if you feel like you might be like that, then I'll just say speak to the people who you're speaking to and just say to them, am I being too aggressive? Not to change your stance of things, but it's good to just have some reflection from other people. Okay? Now, imagine if it flipped around. You're back in the scenario, you're trying to get some food, you're hungry, obviously, and you basically say to your partner, what do you want to eat? Your partner says Chinese food. Immediately you're just like, you know what, I'm down for anything. Chinese food. Let's get Chinese food. Now that can be seen as passive because you don't really have a say. You just basically accept everything that's given to you. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing. I am a water sign, so that I guess that means that I am more free flowing. I am more attuned to water, more akin to water, and I just like going with the flow. I like surrendering to what the universe has in store for me. But I guess in this discussion, that could be seen as being passive, just being easygoing. Whatever happens, happens. It can be deemed as passive because it's the opposite of aggressive. Now, the third scenario is basically where you are passive aggressive. And passive aggressive is basically a mix of both. You say aggressive things, but you say in a passive way. So it's, well, you always get your Chinese food. So let's just go with that, not get the Indian food. Now, saying that could lead a lot of discourse because you're saying something which could be quite hurtful, but you're saying it in a way which can be seen as you're being sarcastic or you're not being authentic. Now, there's various explanations and examples I can go through, but I'll just stick with that one for now. Now, last but not least, is assertiveness. Now, assertiveness is basically saying, I do want Indian food, but I also do appreciate that you want Chinese food. So let's just think of a way where everybody can win, and that is assertiveness, basically in a nutshell. If you see aggressiveness as I win and you lose, you see passiveness as I lose and you win, and I see passive aggressiveness as us losing, then assertiveness is the one where everybody wins. You say your point, you communicate with the person who you're speaking to, and you therefore come to a conclusion that sometimes, more often than not, actually helps both parties interested. Now, because a lot of us are naturally more passive and some of us are naturally more aggressive, we need to find a key balance in striking the perfectness between being aggressive and being passive. It just depends on what you're going through. But the most important thing is just to take an oath to yourself. If you truly want something, then you have to be more assertive for it. If you don't mind about the outcome of something, you can be more passive to it. But the key thing about being assertive is making sure that you're assertive on your terms and not on anybody else's terms. Be passive all you want, be passive aggressive if you want to, but I would say passive aggressiveness could lead to more disharmony than balance. So it's about being assertive and saying what you want, making your voice heard, because the key thing about what you are doing with your assertiveness is you're making sure that everybody hears you. It's good for your confidence, it's good for your anxiety and depression, for example, and it's also good for self-esteem too. Once you put your voice out there, you start to feel more of yourself. But if you assume the role of being someone who's passive all the time, then you might get very anxious when you go to social settings because someone might ask you a question. And if you're not if not used to speaking out loud and just being passive, anxiety is going to come up. And this could lead to a plethora of other things as well. So it's about looking at what you're going through as a person and actually appreciating that what you say is completely valid. And if you do believe in something and you want to do something, you need to make sure that your voice is heard. Now, I guess in a social setting, it's about being around the right people who appreciate this and allow you to act accordingly in a healthy way. So I would encourage you to be around people who are like-minded, if possible, and just people who appreciate the fact that you want to be more assertive. You need to realize that there's a lot of things that we look at when it comes to assertiveness as well. As in, if you want to do something, will you be harming anybody else? Okay? There's also certain other stipulations that need to be taken into consideration too when it comes to assertiveness. Such as, I'm trying to think of an example now, bear with me for a minute. So, if you think, for example, you choose something and it might be an event. You and a group of friends go with you to this event and the event doesn't go well. You need to make sure that when you are assertive, the key to being assertive is to take accountability and acknowledgement for your actions. Now, that comes with a good level of confidence, but you can't really be assertive if you're not sure what you truly want. So it's about digging deep, boosting your self-esteem and confidence by having faith in what you want to do. And then when you deliver that, then you go and show a new level of assertiveness, which actually allows you not only to do what you want and speak your truth, but to also appreciate everybody else's values and opinions too. So just make sure that you take accountability, and remember, you always have the right to say no as well. Although we might live in a world where saying no could, get us hurt, or saying no could offend somebody else, we still have the power to do that. We also have the power to say I don't know and I don't care as well, even though it might sound rude from a British standpoint, for example. You need to make sure that your needs are taken care of. Yeah, you need to make sure that you are number one, because you can't take over the world and be miraculous and be amazing at what you're doing if you're fearful of other people's opinions towards you. So being assertive can be more of the key to appreciate your desires more. Now I'm going to leave it at that. That was just a brief conversation about assertiveness, but I'm going to do more assertive videos in the future. I just want you all to think, and if there is any homework, I don't want to say the word homework, I want to say gifts. If there's any gifts I could bestow to you tonight, is this: be more mindful, be more present. Are you assertive? Are you passive aggressive? Are you aggressive or are you passive? If you are, in what situation are you these things? Would you want to be more assertive? How can you be more assertive? Do you feel confident? How can you be more confident? How can you use assertiveness in your own way as a tool to make sure that you have the passion and the assertiveness to get what you want while appreciating other people's opinions? That is today's episode of Illuminated Disclaimer. I've been your host, Sydney. And yeah, please like, comment, and subscribe as well. And also, there'll be a link to my website coming in April. And with that link, there's going to be a suggestion area. So if you want to talk about anything or have anything that you want to add, or anything you're not too sure of what you like when it comes to Illuminated Disclaimer, please let me know. I'm going to be doing much more segments in the future where people will ask me questions, and wherever I am, just going to drop everything and just dedicate 5 to 10 minutes just to answering your questions. But until then, love, light, and guidance. Thank you very much for listening.